Once upon a time, in the bustling city of Umutu, a group of 4 university friends shared a modest, cheerful home just off the main campus. They were like sisters, though each one had a unique personality that colored their friendship. Ada was the reserved and thoughtful one. She loved books and quiet moments. Kemi, the ever-curious adventurer, could talk her way into or out of anything. Amaka was the witty one with sharp comebacks and a knack for making everyone laugh. Lastly, there was Bisi, the dreamer, who always had her head full of grand ideas for the future. Their shared home had earned the nickname the Lighthouse among their classmates, not because it was tall or grand, but because it always seemed to draw people in. Friends came by for study sessions, neighbors dropped off baked goods, and even strangers seemed to linger on the steps, drawn by some unspoken warmth. But what the girls didn't know was that the Lighthouse had a history, one they were about to discover. It all started one Saturday afternoon. Kemi, in her usual spirit of adventure, had decided to rearrange the living room. She dragged furniture around, wiped down surfaces, and finally pulled out an old trunk that had been gathering dust in the corner. "Hey, look what I found," she called out, wiping the top of th inside. They found a collection of old notebooks, faded photographs, and a bundle of letters tied together with a ribbon. The other girls gathered around as Kemi opened it. "What is this?" Amaka asked, picking up one of the letters. Ada squinted at the handwriting. "It looks like someone used to live here and left these behind." The girls spent the next few hours poring over the contents of the trunk. The letters were written by a woman named Ifeoma, who had lived in the Lighthouse decades ago. She wrote about her dreams of becoming a teacher, her struggles with self-doubt, and her close bond with 3 friends who had lived with her. But one letter caught Ada's attention. Unlike the others, it was written in hurried, almost frantic handwriting. "There is something about this house," the letter read. "The walls seem to listen. Sometimes, they even speak. I know it sounds crazy, but my friends and I started hearing whispers at night. We thought it was our imagination, but now I'm not so sure. If you ever find this, please remember, the house only responds to truth." Ada read the letter aloud, and the room fell silent. "What does that even mean?" Bisi finally asked. "It's probably just a prank," Amaka said, though her voice lacked its usual confidence. "Maybe," Ada said, folding the letter. "But what if it's not?" That night, as the girls settled into their beds, the house seemed unusually quiet. The usual hum of city life outside felt muted, as though the world had been wrapped in cotton. Then, it happened. At first, it was faint, a soft murmur that could have been the wind. But soon, the sound grew clearer. It wasn't just noise, it was words. "Do you see me?" the voice whispered. Ada sat bolt upright in bed. She thought she had imagined it until she heard it again. "Do you see me?" She ran to the hallway, and one by one, the other girls emerged from their rooms, wide-eyed and shaken. "Did you hear that?" Kemi whispered. They all nodded. "Okay," Amaka said, trying to steady her voice. "This is officially creepy." "Maybe it's just an old house making noises," Bisi offered weakly. But the girls knew this was no ordinary creak of wood or groan of pipes. The whispers continued, soft and insistent, as though the house itself was trying to speak to them. The next day, they decided to investigate. If the house responded to truth, as Ifeoma's letter claimed, they would need to figure out what it wanted. Ada suggested they start with the trunk. They combed through the letters and photographs, looking for clues. They found more references to the whispering walls and a cryptic note that read, "The house sees through the heart." "What does that mean?" Kemi asked. "I think it means we have to be honest," Ada said. "Completely honest, with ourselves and each other." The girls exchanged uneasy glances. Honesty sounded simple, but it wasn't always easy. That evening, they gathered in the living room and sat in a circle. The whispers had started again, soft and almost melodic. "Okay," Ada said, taking a deep breath. "Let's try. I'll go first." She hesitated, then said, "I'm scared of failing. Everyone thinks I'm so smart, but sometimes I feel like I'm not good enough." The whispers grew louder, almost as if encouraging her to continue. "I pretend I don't care what people think," Kemi said, "but I do. I care too much. I feel like a fraud," Amaka admitted. "I make jokes so people won't see how insecure I am. I'm scared my dreams are too big," Bisi said quietly. "What if I never achieve them?" As each girl spoke, the whispers grew softer, more soothing, until they faded into silence. Then, something extraordinary happened. The room filled with a warm, golden light. It wasn't coming from any lamp or bulb, it seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. And in that light, they saw shadows, figures of 4 women, standing together, smiling. "It's them," Ada whispered. "Ifeoma and her friends." The figures nodded, and one of them raised a hand, as if in thanks. Then, slowly, the light and shadows faded, leaving the girls in awe. From that night on, the lighthouse felt different. The warmth that had always drawn people in now seemed almost tangible, as though the house itself had come alive. The girls, too, changed. They began to be more open with one another, sharing their fears, hopes, and dreams without fear of judgment. Their bond grew stronger, and they carried that lesson of honesty into their lives beyond the house. Years later, when they had all graduated and moved on, the lighthouse remained a beacon of warmth and truth. New tenants came and went, but the house never lost its magic. And sometimes, late at night, if you stood very still, you might hear a soft whisper, reminding you to be true to yourself and to others. Lesson: true strength comes from honesty, not only with others but with yourself. When we embrace vulnerability, we create space for deeper connections and greater understanding.